Hey everybody, this is Neo Reality Entertainment. Welcome to the second edition of the Neo Reality Podcast. I'm with TheProdigy99, and I'm not going to reveal his real name because for two reasons. One is that, well, this is the internet. We know how the internet acts. And also because I can't pronounce his name. No offense.
No, it's not a big deal. I guess that in person can my name because it's really Polish alike. It has a lot of ż and sh. It's difficult to pronounce for the foreign people. I'm not offended.
Yeah, okay. So today, this video is also presented by Audible.com through the Neo Reality Entertainment special link. If you want to check out any Star Wars audiobooks, specifically the Old Republic era, since today we're going to talk about the Star Wars Legends continuity of the Old Republic era. And the reason why we're talking about this is because Prodigy99 is actually writing a Star Wars Old Republic era fanfiction. And how's that going?
Well, can you repeat? Because you're talking like a little too fast. So I would ask you to slow down.
Oh, okay. I was saying like, how's your fanfiction project going for the Old Republic era?
Well, it's going fine. Recently, I have some small delays. I don't know why. I thought that on the summer holidays I will have more free time to write it, but it just happened that I don't find time to write the new chapters, though I updated today. And as I mentioned in the author's note, I started also writing my original story, called Story of Rostgal and War. But I'm not going to get into it since we're not talking about it.
Okay.
And the story is going fine. I will continue it, I will finish it, I will write the sequel, and I will write the prequel.
Alright.
It will take me some time, but I will do it.
Alright. So, anyways, the Old Republic era is honestly one of my favorite Star Wars time periods during the Star Wars Legend continuity because of how we got some interesting characters, complexities, and especially, this is for a sub-thing, Kreia.
Oh, yes. The Old Republic era is also my favorite period of the Star Wars. It might sound ridiculous, but I'm not a big fan of Star Wars. I mean, not the Disney movies or previously George Lucas films. I'm not fan of the original trilogy, like not a crazy fan. I like more Clone Wars era, because I don't know, I think it was more technology advanced and it was like nicer to watch it, I guess. And the Old Republic is for me like, well, the most interesting because it has a lot of smaller plots, a lot of details that are very, very interesting. And I especially like Revan's story. It's really amusing. It's also quite tragic how it was portrayed in Star Wars: The Old Republic MMO game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm planning to change it a bit in my story.
Like, a lot of people actually talk about the Old Republic Revan they gave us, that BioWare gave us. They actually don't like how it ended.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yes, I don't like how it ended as well.
I actually thought some parts of it was interesting, like the idea of Revan splintering into two different entities. One is pure light and one is pure darkness.
Yes, that was very, very shocking, but also very good, very original, and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I just thought that there was more like missed opportunities, like when we saw Satilashan, Revan's descendant, like there was no interaction between them. That would have actually been interesting to see family members fight each other. Yes, that would be really interesting, but I was watching some gameplays from and there was actually Revan saying that even his own flesh and blood stands against him, so he knows that Satil is his descendant, and well, I'm quite disappointed that they didn't
That they only mentioned it, but no more talking was about it or anything.
Yeah, I thought it was disappointing too. I saw a video of it. I never played the expansion pack because, well, I haven't been on the Old Republic in a while. I just recently started getting back into it. I still haven't finished the vanilla version of it.
Oh, I get it. Well, I got to be honest with you. I haven't played Star Wars: The Old Republic because, well, I do not have the money to buy it. As for the novel about Revan, I started reading it, but well, I never finished it. Instead, I watched a fan film you have seen about Revan. This is based on the novel, actually.
Yeah, I believe I saw parts of it. When I looked up about the Revan novel, I was somewhat intrigued, yet at the same time disappointed because I wanted to see more of the companions, what became of them a lot. Like, I know the title character was going to be Revan, and also, surprisingly, Mitria, also known as the Exile from Knights of the Old Republic 2. But I wanted to see more, like, what happened to the other characters besides those two. Like, I wanted to see more HK-47. I wanted to see more of Ant and Rad. I wanted to see more of what became of the rest of the Knights.
Yes. HK-47 is one of the best characters. I'm so happy that I finally included this droid into my story. Because, well, of all the KOTOR characters, he is like the funniest. I always laughed when I was being his quotes.
Yeah. He was actually a pretty entertaining character. He's also kind of one of the tragic characters, if you really think about it.
Wait, can you repeat about, because something has interrupted and I didn't hear you.
Oh, I said, like, HK-47, he's one of the most entertaining characters, but he also has a sense of tragedy to him.
Yes. Well, I don't know how to go into that, because I thought of that.
Well,
but,
here's the thing.
I don't know.
Here's the thing I found out.
Was included in... Can you repeat?
Oh, here's the thing that I found out. Do you remember an MMO called Star Wars Galaxies?
What do I remember? Please slow down a bit because I can't understand well.
Okay. Do you remember an MMO called Star Wars Galaxies?
No, I don't remember that.
Oh, well, they had an expansion pack where HK-47 was the main character.
Oh, that would be quite interesting to play it, to see it.
Well, the MMO is no longer around. It got discontinued. But here's the thing. HK-47 made it all the way up to the Dark Times during the reign of the Galactic Empire.
During the reign of who? Because I haven't heard it.
It takes place, like, this expansion pack, it takes place during the original trilogy era, during the Dark Times, when Sidious was in control.
Whoa, and HK is still, like, living?
Yeah, he's on Mustafar.
Whoa. Oh, that's interesting. That's intriguing, I must say it.
Yeah, and I thought it was kind of sad that HK-47 is the last living member of that old era. Like, his friends, the people he's known are dead, Revan's dead, the Exile's dead. Like, he's the last of his own kind.
Yes, that's quite a depressing thought, I must admit it. But on the other hand, if this would be the idea that Disney would involve in their movies, this would be great. That HK is coming to canon, this would also to canon, which would be great.
Yeah, like, do you know another game called Galaxy of Heroes?
Well, I heard of it, I guess. This is the Android game?
No, it's a heroes-based game where you play as these different characters from Star Wars eras, and HK-47 is actually one of the characters.
Oh, I mean, I heard the title, but I never played it.
Okay.
I recall... I'm sure that I recall seeing this title somewhere on the screen, but I never.
Okay. Apparently HK-47 is one of the characters in the game, and this is a Disney product.
Oh, so this would mean that HK-47 is at least partially canon. This would be great.
They're hinting that the Old Republic era might be reintroduced into the new Disney canon.
Well, if new Disney canon, then I hope they won't change it like very much. I mean, I would love to see Revan's story remastered, but not changing it much.
Yeah, like, my biggest gripe with the new Disney canon is that they're not really taking risks. They're more like cherry picking off of the old canon.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is sad.
Yeah, like, to those who don't watch, those who don't like to read the books, comics, and novels, like, if you read those and you did see something, you'll notice things familiar with The Force Awakens.
Yes. I mean, I didn't read the books, but I heard of it because the close friend of mine has read the books that after Return of the Jedi, the Anakin, Luke's kids and Han's kids, and all of this. I was somewhat intrigued, and Disney released Force Awakens, and they denied all of that, and that was portrayed in books. I was slightly I forgot the word. Give me a second.
Okay.
I was slightly well, I didn't like it. I can't remember the word right now. I have it on the tip of my tongue, but
yeah, that happens to me a lot. I have these words in my mind, and I have it at the tip of my tongue, and I forgot.
Yes, that's difficult.
Yeah, but okay. Do you remember Starkiller Base in Episode 7?
Yes. I remember that.
It's clear, while some people just call it a Death Star 3, here's the truth. That actually is based off the Sun Crusher from the old canon.
Well, I think I heard the name because I was watching the video about the most destructive constructions in the Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I think I recall that. But, well, when I've seen Starkiller Base eating this star, I was like, damn, this is taken from this forge. At least partially.
Yeah, I also realized that too. But I was mostly thinking Sun Crusher because they used the sun as a weapon. Yeah, like, whereas Sun Crusher in the Legends canon was small and movable faster, they went ahead and used weapons to fire at the sun and cause a supernova to destroy entire systems.
Oh yes, I get it.
Yeah, and Starkiller Base kind of operated the same thing, except they used the sun as the weapon.
Yes.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, really, Disney? Like, this is a dream movie everyone wanted to see, and you're just ripping stuff off from the Legends canon.
Well, sorry, I have some problems here, some technical problems. Can you repeat the last sentence because something interrupted it?
Oh, I said, like Disney, this is the dream movie everyone wants to see, and you're ripping stuff off from the Legends canon.
Yeah, this probably, well, this is strange, I must admit it, because they denied all the old canon, but they are still taking the inspiration from it. Like, for example, when I've seen Rogue and the Hammerhead cruisers, I was like, "Is when will you bring it back to canon?"
Yeah. If you've watched Star Wars Rebels, they actually...
I will live up to.
What?
I said that I hope I will live to see Revan return to canon. And from the Star Wars Rebels, I haven't watched it. I mean, well, because I do not enjoy very much the Empire era, so didn't I didn't try to even understand what's going on there. But I've seen some shots. I've seen explanation how rebels came in possession of the Hammerhead cruisers, but not very much. I'm not really.
Okay. Now I know this isn't about the Old Republic era, but do you remember Thrawn?
I certainly. I have certainly seen him on trailer of Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah, they're basically... When I looked up the novel Thrawn that came out recently, I actually found out that they kept everything that is Thrawn in the Legends canon, but into the Disney one.
Yes, I've heard it from my friend who is really interested in Star Wars Rebels, that Thrawn is actually taken from the novels, so this is something I know, but I'm not really into it.
Yeah, I understand. I've been trying to give the new Disney canon a chance, but at the same time I think, yeah, you stop ripping off the expanded universe, the old Legends, because it kind of makes your reboot sound like it's inferior.
Yes, this is quite difficult to understand what they're doing.
Yeah, and the fact that there are rumors spreading about the future of the Old Republic era, like Star Wars MMO is still going strong, even today, even though the Legends canon got discontinued. But I also thought, if they're really bringing this back into the new canon, I hope they keep everything same and the timeline correct. I don't want Kreia to be Disney-fied into a straight-up villain.
Yes, Kreia is very interesting character. She's a personification. Is there a word in English like this?
Yeah.
Yes. She's good and bad, and in the way I portrayed Revan in the Grey Jedi, and this movie on YouTube you sent me about Kreia's philosophy. It's really, it was really interesting, and one of the theories about Kreia is really mind-blowing, and I think I will add it to my story.
Okay, I'm glad I can help you with that.
Yes. Well, I thank you.
It's alright. So, yeah, Kreia is honestly one of my favorite characters besides Revan in this era. If I was to choose which character would be superior, it'd be hard to choose.
Yes, because at one time Revan the most beloved villain and the Jedi for many Star Wars fans, including me, at least fans of the Old Republic, while Kreia is his mentor. So if there was no Kreia, there would be no Revan. This is something that has to be told.
Yeah, and you've heard the whole belief of a return of the Old Republic era. There's there are fans petitioning to bring it back. They want to see a Netflix series of it.
Yes, I've heard it. I've heard about it.
Yeah, I think Netflix would be the perfect place to host a Star Wars Old Republic era. This would be able to go all out without having the restrictions of the television stuff. They have to keep it PG on Rebels. But yes,
I totally agree with that, and I hope that Netflix will create this series, I guess, about Revan, because this would be of dreams of many fans.
Yeah.
Well, they're planning to do Witcher, so why not to do the Old Republic?
Yeah, and there's also going to be an Assassin's Creed series on Netflix.
Oh, well, it's I haven't heard about it, and if I get to, I don't. I've played Assassin's Creed, but the restarts beginning from the fourth part, Black Flag. Well, this wasn't the same. It wasn't the same anymore.
Yeah. Now, back to the Old Republic era.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of something called the Jedi Covenant?
Jedi Covenant. Well, this is on Fanfiction?
No. This is an actual comic series. This is actually a group of people.
No.
Oh.
No, I haven't read the comics.
Okay. If you know, do you remember them talking about a Jedi Knight called Exar Kun?
Yes. I recall him. I tried to get familiar with his story, and at least partially I did. I'm not that familiar with.
Yeah, well, after what happened with Exar Kun in the old wars, during the old Sith War, a splinter group within the Jedi Order formed called the Jedi Covenant. And they had a vision one day of the fall of the Republic, the fall of the Jedi Order, and this is clearly hinting at Palpatine, but they don't know that.
Yes.
So, what's the logical thing to do with this revelation that they have foreseen the end of the Jedi Order and the Republic? What do you think they would have? What do you think they should have done?
Well, I guess that they would try to stop it as best as they could, but this would only lead to fulfilling this prophecy.
Yeah, you want to know what they did?
Well, tell me.
They went ahead, grabbed all their Padawan students. They told them that they were going to do a knighting ceremony for all of them, and then they later massacred all of them.
Whoa! Damn, this happened after Exar Kun Wars, yes?
Yes, they wanted to prevent another Exar Kun, so their logical thing to do was...
This was like before or during the Mandalorian Wars?
Before the Mandalorian Wars.
Before the Mandalorian Wars, because when I was doing some research about the events of the Mandalorian Wars, how it went on, I found out that on Taris there was a similar massacre of Jedi Padawans.
Yeah, that was the event, I believe.
Oh, yes. That Zane Carrick was the one survivor.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm like, these are our heroes, ladies and gentlemen. It's fascinating.
Can you repeat? Because, again, something interrupted.
Oh, I was being sarcastic in saying that these are our heroes, ladies and gentlemen, the Jedi Knights that will kill Padawans.
Yeah, this is difficult to think about, that Jedi, so in the movies portrayed as the good ones and without any blemish, have actually some dark history, and this is something that I also wanted, and I did include it in my story, especially in Atris and Brooke, because I don't know, I think that in other fan fiction story I've read something similar, and this idea just stayed in my mind, and I decided to include it in my story. And when I was playing KOTOR and KOTOR 2, I never liked Brooke and Atris, so this is sort of revenge, I guess.
Yeah, like, when I look back on it now, I'm like, okay, Brooke, I am so glad you get killed off by Kreia, and Atris, yeah, you're just messed up in the head.
Yes, well, Atris is also quite interesting character, I must admit it. While she was trying to prevent Jedi Order, she turned to Sith, and yeah, this is something well, something that could be expected, if I have to be honest.
Yeah. Like, I always had a feeling Atrus would be more like the Sith in terms of her attitude, especially how you interact with her as the Exile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I always had a feeling like Atrus, like, you act more like a Sith. Like, you're not being a Jedi, you're being more like a jerk.
Yes, yes, she was like, she thought of herself that she's 100% good, and that way she became arrogant, and as we all know, arrogance leads to the dark side, or so the Jedi told.
Yeah, and, okay, do you remember a ritual by the Jedi called the Trials of Flesh?
No, I don't know how to recall that.
Okay, it's one of the several trials that the Jedi Masters like to do with their Padawans in order to prepare them for knighthood. The Trials of Flesh was a ritual where the Jedi Padawans had to most likely get injured on a mission or in a war.
Mm-hmm.
And during times of peace, before this practice was stopped by the Jedi Order because someone with a brain had thought this was a stupid idea, they go ahead and torture their Padawans to prove their worth in the Trials of Flesh.
Whoa, this is... Well, this one was heavy.
Yes, I told one of my friends about this. He was shocked about how the fact the Jedi would torture their Padawans as a rite of passage.
Yes, I always knew that Jedi have something with their minds, if I got to be honest.
Yeah. And I told my friend this, like, I know the Sith are portrayed as psychotic madmen most of the time, and some are sympathetic, but the compliment I could give the Sith is that they're more honest about who they are as opposed to the Jedi.
Yes, this was something I was going to say as well. Well, Sith might be bad and all that, they try to conquer and galaxy, but at least they don't hide it, because honestly, Jedi are trying to do the same, but they're not saying it out loud.
Yeah. And when the Emperor in Star Wars, known as Vitiate, I thought he was actually pretty interesting, considering he's the one Sith that achieved the impossible, immortality.
Yes, it was like mind-blowing, and I sort of regret that he wasn't like, I don't know, well, we haven't seen much of him, because this would be interesting, like, for example, KOTOR freaking, if this would come to life and would include Vitiate, then I'm sure most of the fans would love it, because, well, as a Sith Lord, Vitiate is really, really interesting.
Yeah. But for me, my top favorite Sith Lord of the Old Republic era has to be Darth Nihilus.
Well, I think I understand why, because, well, when I played KOTOR 2 for the first time, Nihilus was, well, scary, really. He scared me, mostly because of the way he was speaking, his dialect, and his mask was just cool. It's I guess that because of this mask, most of the fans loved him.
Yeah, I thought he was intimidating. Like, I kept thinking to myself, like, what do we know about this guy? We don't. He's like the Joker from The Dark Knight. He has no rightness, no wrongness. We don't know anything about his past other than that he's a tragedy of the Mandalorian Wars. But other than that, there's nothing really information-wise about him.
Yes, and I will say quickly that, well, I made some research about Nihilus' history, and I'm going to say right now, it won't be a spoiler because it's already said on the Wikipedia that I'm going to include Darth Nihilus in the prequel to my story, and I'm going to describe his origins as well as Darth Science's origins, as casualties of the Mandalorian Wars.
All right. I can't wait to see that. Also, regarding the Mandalorian Wars, that has been made canon.
Yes, yes. I also heard about it that the Mandalorian Wars are partially canon because of this scene in some season of Star Wars in Malachor, this battlefield after the war between Jedi and the Mandalorians.
Yeah, and in Season 3 of Star Wars Rebels, Kanan mentions that the Jedi defeated the Mandalorians. So they...
yes, I think I recall that.
Yeah, so that basically all but said, like, yeah, the Mandalorian Wars, we're bringing that back, everybody.
Yes, but at the same time, they sort of changed it. I don't remember how, but they did. They did it.
Yeah.
I cannot remember this detail. I've seen this, the difference between Disney's Mandalorian Wars and the Old Republic's Mandalorian Wars, but I cannot recall that right now.
Okay. And the Jedi Order, I always had this feeling like the Jedi Order were fallible, like they were corrupted from their own beliefs.
They they want to achieve things didn't they want to achieve but to update thinking like because balance is Jedi and the Sith.
Yeah. In fact, if you see my YouTube channel, I made a video about my interpretation of what the Chosen One prophecy was about, and I had theorized that the Chosen One prophecy was supposed to destroy...
Sorry, because I have some technical problems.
Oh, alright. I was saying, like, I made a video about the...
it's better.
Okay. I made a video a few years back about the Chosen One prophecy, and I came up to my own conclusion of it. Like, some people just call it poor writing, but I thought the idea, what they were thinking, is actually kind of a good idea, where the Chosen One prophecy was to destroy the old Jedi Order and the old Sith ways.
Yes, and if we look at this that way, it happened.
Yeah, like, if you look at the Legends canon, there's a new Jedi Order, there's a new way of the Sith. It's like everything's been everything's been restarted regarding the cycle.
Yes.
So I thought that was a pretty interesting idea, and I get the feeling George Lucas was going that route, except here's the thing. I find George Lucas as a good guy who could come up with good ideas, but when it comes down to writing those ideas, it's not as good.
Yes.
Yeah, I've said this before, and some people actually have disputed me on that. Like, some people have...
Again, some tech...
Okay.
I was wrong. I guess that some headphones and something wrong. Okay. Sorry for all these obstacles.
That's alright. I've had obstacles before, too. So, yes. Yeah, I get the... some people actually have disputed me on the whole prophecy belief of my interpretation because they thought the Chosen One prophecy was the stupidest idea they ever came up with for Star Wars, but I thought if done correctly, it could actually work.
Yes, because for some, this may be overmatched, that these fans, the psycho fans... Well, you're wrong, that's not true. To destroy the Jedi must survive, or something like this. Because, well, psycho fans are not thinking logically.
Yeah. Like, if they don't want to like my idea, like, that's perfectly alright. Like, but could you at least not bash me for having an opinion that's different from theirs?
Yes, this is something terrible in the nowadays, that those who have different opinion are well, are not liked in the society.
Yeah, unfortunately. And one fascinating thing regarding Revan to me is the fact that he has walked both lines.
Can you repeat?
I said one of the most fascinating things about Revan is that he didn't start out being in the middle. He had to be on both sides.
Yes, this is something also very interesting about Revan, because he's the only one who turned to the dark side and returned to the light side and was a Jedi. Well, maybe also Darth Vader, because at the end of his life he also turned back to light, but for just a few minutes and then he died.
Yeah. Actually, I looked at Revan and I called him the Anakin Skywalker of the Old Republic era.
Yes, I've also seen that Revan is. This is. Well, I'm not going to believe it.
You're not gonna what?
What?
I said, like, what did you say?
That I've seen a theory that says that Revan is actually a Skywalker. But I'm not going to believe it.
Yeah, I just think that two different people from two different families, it's just how they act is so familiar. Like, Revan thought something was wrong with the Order and wanted to do good things, but fell to the dark side because of it, and then got manipulated into joining. And so did Skywalker.
Yes. I've seen the similarities between Revan and Anakin, that they both turned to the dark side after a great galactic conflict. Revan after the Mandalorian Wars, and Anakin after the Clone Wars. And some other similarities that are interesting, but Revan can't be a Skywalker. It was also denied somewhere, I bet.
Yeah, there's actually one more thing I think that really makes them similar, is how the Jedi looked at them.
Yes. Like, it was watching Revenge of the Sith, where Anakin is, like, all the time misunderstood and underestimated. And, well, if I got to be honest, I understand why he has fallen to the dark side.
Yeah, and the other thing I think the Jedi look at both Revan and Anakin is that to them, they're just weapons, a means to an end.
Yes, this is also true.
Yeah, like for Revan, we only want him back because he can end the Jedi Civil War, and after that we'll cast him aside, which failed miserably.
Yes, because he has these memories hidden inside of his head, and there has to be some way to get to them.
Yeah, and Anakin, the Jedi just look at him and say, "Oh, you're the chosen one. That means you are going to destroy the Sith, even though we have misread it wrong. You're our tool to us. You're our ace in the hole. After that, you're useless."
Yes. This is sad about this.
Yeah, it also kind of shows the Jedi Order being very dogmatic. Like, they think that they're the superior forces, even though they're lying about it, saying like, "Oh, we're doing it in the name of peace." While the Sith, they'll just admit that, yeah, we're completely psychotic and dogmatic.
Yes, and also I've seen a video on YouTube that tells that Jedi aren't as good as we thought they are. And there is this one quote that keeps repeating in the movies, which is, "from the certain point of view." I I think you recall that when
Yeah.
Obi-Wan told Luke about his father, and Luke says that Obi-Wan lied to him, and Obi-Wan is like, well, I told you the truth from a certain point of view.
Yeah, I was also thinking that Obi-Wan kind of had to lie to Luke, because if Luke thought Vader was his father, he would try and save him, whereas Obi-Wan just thinks, oh, Vader is not able to be redeemed, so Luke, I need you to kill him.
Yes, this is also true.
Yeah, it made me look at the Jedi Order in a bad light for them. Okay, after the Jedi Civil War in the Revan novel, it's explained that Revan tried to change the Order's ways, like include love and whatnot, and the Jedi were condemning such a thing.
Yes, and they only agreed for his marriage with Bastila if he stops saying his teachings aloud in the Jedi Order.
There was actually another reason why they didn't banish him and let him keep his marriage.
Well, go on.
Oh, their reason was because, well, Revan is a public hero, and if we banish him, we'll look bad.
Oh, yes, I haven't considered that, and it makes sense,
Yeah, it was actually explained that the reason why the Jedi Order didn't banish him was because Revan was a hero to the galaxy, and if they banished him, they would look bad. So, yeah, we have a reputation to uphold, even though we really should not care what other people think about us.
Yes.
Yeah, so when I look at the Jedi Order of the old era and how they devolved into this hypocritical, dogmatic viewpoint, I sometimes like to say Palpatine did nothing wrong on that.
Oh, yes, I can agree with that, because, well, for example, the story of Mitra, it's really it's really sad, because she returned from the Mandalorian Wars. She came back to the council asking for help because she lost this connection to the Force, and they banished her, which is, well, rather cruel.
Yeah, and speaking of the exile, there's something I also wanted to talk about regarding Knights of the Old Republic 2. Did you ever find a list of all of its cut content?
No, I never did it. I played KOTOR 2 once. I never returned to it, because, well, simply because I enjoyed 1 more.
Yeah, I understand. But if you go on Wikipedia, the Star Wars Wikipedia site, there's a section which lists every single cut content from Knights of the Old Republic 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there is a ton. Like, it makes every other game look like, if Lucasfilm let them have given more time for Obsidian, it would have been a huge masterpiece.
Yes, I can agree with that, because I was reading about this cut content mode, restored content mode, and because they had a little time to finish the game, they just cut some things out, and they released it.
Yeah. And Mitria, aka the Exile, yeah, I get the feeling the Jedi Order did something regarding her other than exile her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after the first Jedi Purge, conducted by Nihilus, Scion, and Kreia to an extent, notice how later on throughout history, if you look at the stuff, they don't really talk about the exile anymore.
Yes, that's true, because I think they see the exile as a black card in the Jedi Order's history. Well, because she disobeyed them and followed Revan to war and all of that.
Yeah, I also think that the reason why the Jedi don't like to talk about her is because, well, we exiled her and she came back and saved our lives, so Yeah, we don't want to look
Yes.
bad.
Yes, this is hard to accept.
Yeah, like, okay, you remember that blind character, the Mariluka, named Vizamar?
Yeah.
And
Yes, I remember her.
And the handmaiden Brianna?
Yes, I do.
It's mentioned during the Clone Wars era, not the show, a comic or a book, that apparently some Jedi students were learning, and the Jedi teachers told them that it was Vizamar or Brianna that stopped the first Jedi Purge, and they don't talk about the exile, like, whatsoever.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I get the feeling that Jedi Order may have later on omitted her from history because they'll look bad if people found out that an exiled Jedi came back and saved their lives.
Yes, they would be somewhat pathetic.
Yeah. It's kind of frustrating that this hero came back. She could have left you all for dead. She had no reason to help you guys. And this is the thanks you give her?
Yes, this was also a depressing moment in the game where they saved all the masters and they were just going to cut you from the Force or kill her. I don't remember.
They wanted to cut her off from the Force permanently.
Yes.
Yeah, like you've seen what she's done in the game, and you're wondering to yourself, wait, why are you cutting her? Why are you trying to get rid of her? Like, I get the echo in the Force, but shouldn't it be better to understand what this echo is instead of just ignoring it and say, nope, it doesn't exist to us. It's bad, it's the dark side.
Yes, exactly. This is also...
Huh?
So, like, this shows Jedi's cursing, that they portray themselves as the wise and all of that, while they are ignorant to something they do not understand.
Yeah. Like, if you look at episode 2 of Attack of the Clones, they mentioned that if this planet, Kamino, doesn't exist in their database, then it doesn't exist.
Yes, they couldn't allow themselves to think that someone could trick them, that someone could be better than them.
Yeah, and that kind of annoyed me, like, seriously. Isn't the pursuit of knowledge in your code?
What?
I said, okay, the Jedi who think this way, isn't the pursuit of knowledge in your code, therefore you should adventure more and be more open-minded that maybe there's stuff out there that they don't know about?
Yes, this line, there is no ignorance, there is knowledge, and many times it's, like, denied by the Jedi.
Yeah, and yet they still maintain that, yes, we follow the Jedi code, therefore we are hypocrites.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of really showing that Anakin, when he went ahead and attacked the Jedi Order, it kind of makes him look like in the right here.
Yes, because I think that he did something that most of people would do if they were in his place, because, well, he was, like, lied by the Jedi. He was betrayed by them in some way, so I totally understand him.
Yeah, I'm like, still, I thought killing younglings was going a little too far, but like...
Yes. This was also a depressing moment of the film, but it also shows, like, Revenge of the Sith shows something that George R.R. Martin, you know, the Game of Thrones author, portrayed even more, killing all the characters we love, and it kind of was. It was original, and it was good. It was good, I must say it.
Yeah. And when I look at the younglings being slaughtered by Anakin, I think to myself, well, what life do they have? Like, if they stay alive, they'll be forced to listen to a rule that the Jedi Order themselves don't like to listen to themselves with, or be killed. So, by the way, they're screwed.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and it's depressing to see that this is the Jedi Order that we were always told they were the noble heroes, and yet they are fallible.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And also, something that I've noticed recently is that Anakin slaughters these younglings, and then, like, 19 years later, Obi-Wan gives the same lightsaber to Luke, and here came, like, to add, here is your father's lightsaber, murder 30 kids with it.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that's kind of dark.
Yes, fortunately, Obi-Wan didn't tell it to Luke, because I think Luke wouldn't keep this lightsaber in that moment.
Yeah. But there's a lot of things Obi-Wan and Yoda tried to keep secret from Luke, because to them, Luke's like a tool to end the Sith.
Yes. And in their eyes, he also resembled Anakin when he was young.
Yeah, and I'm like, but isn't being a little bit like his dad a bad thing? Like, it's not really a bad thing. So what if he has a bit of his father's traits? Like, if you guys actually did things right with him, then all this stuff would never have happened.
Whoa, again, called problems.
Huh?
Please repeat the last sentence, because
Okay,
disturbing it.
Okay, I said, like, if the Jedi Order had treated Anakin right throughout this entire process, all this would never have happened. So to an extent, the Jedi Order is at a fault here.
Yes, this is true. This is true. I agree with that.
Like, okay, remember how the Clone Wars series ended with Ahsoka leaving the Jedi Order?
Yes, I have seen this episode, and I must say that I almost cried.
Yeah, me too. I was like, you're giving Anakin good reasons to go ahead and destroy you all.
Exactly. This was really depressing, watching Ahsoka leave, and Jedi not believing her, even if they could sense her feelings, sense her thoughts. Like, many times we hear in the movies, your thoughts betray you, so they could see Ahsoka was innocent.
Yeah, and then there was a line in that final episode where Mace Windu said something that really made me hate the guy.
And what did he say? Can you say? Because I don't remember it.
This was actually your great trial.
Whoa! This... Well, I think I would hate Windu for that.
Yeah, I was like... Okay, so let's see if I got this straight. If I'm correct in what you just said, you're saying that everything Ahsoka went through, being hunted by people she loved, being considered a criminal, being almost executed, and finding out her best friend turned on her, and you're having the audacity to say that this was her great trial?
Yes, this is, like, difficult to think about it, honestly.
Yeah, and he kept saying the Force works in mysterious ways. There was nothing regarding the Force in this. This was a corrupted government, a corrupted Jedi Order being imbeciles and not admitting that they have a problem.
Exactly. Close-minded and short-sighted Jedi who didn't let themselves think that Ahsoka can be right and that they can be wrong.
Yeah, like a lot of people started really hating the Jedi Order when that episode aired.
Yes, I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah, I was among them. Like, okay, Anakin, if you were to go Darth Vader at that moment, go back inside and just kill the council members, I will praise you as a hero.
Yes.
And okay, Obi-Wan, like, I really have mixed feelings about him because sometimes I like him and sometimes I'm starting to feel like you're kind of being a hypocrite here.
Yes, Obi-Wan was also somewhat like a character that I didn't have a clear opinion about him because, well, he was a close friend to Anakin. He somewhat supported him, and this last scene, their last conversation on Mustafar was also really, it really also made me cry. And but at the same time, in New Hope, when he kept repeating this, "I told you the truth," from the certain point of view, made me think like, well, maybe he's indeed one of the Jedi Masters.
Yeah. And here's the thing that always bugged me when I look back on Revenge of the Sith. After Obi-Wan had screamed out that he loved Anakin like a brother, there was one major problem I had with that scene.
And what is that?
Why didn't he just force push Anakin into the lava and end his suffering?
Oh yes, this was also like, I also thought about this, like, why do keep all this talking? He saw Anakin was suffering, and just to end his misery, force push him into the lava. And I've seen a movie that explained why Obi-Wan didn't kill Anakin. It was because Obi-Wan sensed Palpatine approaching, and he didn't want to waste time to face him. But at the same time, well, force push would take him like, I don't know, second or two,
Yeah.
And this would be over.
Yeah, and I'm also thinking to myself, wait, if that's Obi-Wan's legitimate reason, did he just forget the teaching of a Jedi's life is sacrifice for the greater good?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so Obi-Wan, let's see if I get this straight, Obi-Wan. You decided to have the galaxy suffer for 20 years to save your skin.
Oh, yes. I haven't thought of that this way, but it makes sense.
Yeah, it's depressing that this is how the Jedi Order is operating, especially even after they were destroyed.
Yes, they're trying to save their skins even if they tell that they do things for the greater good. Or else greater.
Yeah. So, I'm also thinking, like, okay, in the Old Republic era, we got more characters that were more developed and more likable, like Bastila. What did you think of her?
Well, Bastila was an interesting character. I played KOTOR recently to refresh the plot. I needed it. And, well, the one thing I didn't like in her was because she was arrogant.
Yeah.
It also showed that she somewhat adopted the Jedi path, all this arrogancy. I also think Brooks.
Yeah.
But I've included it in my scene. And if this is true, then this would explain why Bastila was so arrogant.
Yeah, it would explain some things, and I get the feeling a secret plot was put in that game. Like Revan kind of makes Bastila see that there are things wrong with the Jedi Order when she fell in love with him.
Yes, and also I think that Bastila was so arrogant because she was like, well, I defeated you once on your ship, and I saved your life, so I can treat you like a shit.
Yeah.
Like, saying this straightly.
Yeah. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if the Jedi Council on Dantooine would have been alright with Bastila being arrogant, because at least she follows the code.
Oh yes, she could be like, I don't know, well, I don't know how to say it, but she could, I don't know, offend other students or something like that, but if she followed the code, she would be okay.
Yeah, especially since the Council also looked at Bastila a little bit like a weapon because she had battle meditation.
Yes, this is something also, I've read a fanfic story that said, and this was extremely interesting, that said that Bastila wasn't so talented Jedi, both in the Force and in combat, but the Jedi kept her because she had this rare gift of battle meditation. I don't remember the title of this story, but this was really, really interesting.
Yeah. It makes the Jedi look like this, like they don't look at their students as people, they look at them as tools and weapons.
Exactly.
Yeah, like Revan. Oh, like I always wonder, like, what gave the Jedi Order the right to erase a man's identity? And I'm always wondering, wait, if they erased his memory and replaced it with another one, where did they get the other person to change the memories?
Yes, this is also something.
Sorry, your mic cut
like,
off.
I don't know, programmed him like a droid, or they just copied someone's identity.
Yeah, like, I was always curious, like, wait, where did this other identity come from? Like, did they kill somebody after they had erased his memory?
Yes, this would be... I would love to see the answer to that.
Yeah, we never got a big answer out of that. Like, that was like one major plot hole I always wanted to know. Like, so wait, where did you make up memories, or did you take someone's memories and put it in his?
Yes, this is interesting, and I would love to find an answer to it.
Yeah. So, like, speaking of fan fictions, originally your story was originally called KOTOR Rewritten, but then you changed it to Price of Sacrifice, and I can actually take a guess why it was called that, because Revan's going to make a huge sacrifice regarding something.
Yes. Well, I don't know if you remember, but in the beginning there was also like some shitty summary. It was because I couldn't come up with some good title and a good summary, and it just sort of came to me like a few months ago, this title, and I also had prepared titles for the prequel and sequel. I'm not going to tell them right now because they will betray some of the plot, and I don't want to do it.
Okay. And I'm also writing a fanfiction. I'm not going to ever upload it on fanfiction.net. This is just a big passion project for me. I told the people about this on my first episode of my podcast when we talked about fanfictions with HF. But I had this big storyline planned called the Year of Truth Saga.
Yes, I watched this first episode of podcast, and I recall that.
Yeah, it's basically my character trying to go ahead and dismantle both the Jedi and the Sith philosophies and make a unified group called the Truth.
Yes, I think I remember it.
Yeah.
I remember you saying about it.
Yeah, it's a fascinating concept I came up with a couple of years ago. And when I started revamping my story, I wanted to expand upon it, and we're going to see a duel between Lord Eric versus Revan, the dark side version of him.
Lord who? Can you repeat?
Lord Eric is going to fight Revan.
Well, I do not know this character.
Oh, Lord Eric is a character I came up with. He has my name in it, but like it.
Okay.
Yeah, you could say it's a self-insertion fanfiction, but I'm doing this for fun. It's my way of like venting because since you said you listened to my podcast, I told how I was in a very dark place at one point in my life.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I get it.
Yeah, so I made this character up to vent that frustration out.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm doing also something like that. Ren is also somewhat a mirror of me at some point. Because, well, it's easier for me than to write it. Because when I'm writing a story and I write a main character, then I have to impersonate with him. And in order to do so, it is easier for me if he is like me, so I can feel exactly just how he would feel and all of that.
Yeah, it's kind of a fascinating concept when I made the Year of Truth storyline. Like, originally, that plan was never going to happen. Like, I never came up with it at one point. But as time went on and I watched the prequels, I watched the original trilogy, and then I saw the Clone Wars series, I started thinking about all this stuff about the Jedi Order and its fallibility. And then I thought, I need to do this storyline. I need to show that the Jedi Order are weak and corrupted.
Yes, I understand this.
Yeah, and one of the main characters in the story is Ahsoka Tano. I want her to be one of the lead characters in this story. Like, she walks between the light and the gray side. She's technically been on the dark side when she was infected with dark side energy from the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she's also in the middle for a bit. She's on the truth side. She defects from the Jedi Order, but then later on it's revealed to be a ruse. But it's revealed that Ahsoka meant what she said about the Jedi Order and their fallibility, and this leads to her leaving, along with Anakin.
Yes, I get it.
And, okay, I know we're talking about fanfictions now for the audience to understand, but it relates to Star Wars Legends since I'm not really talking about all the other side characters and stories and universes I put in my big epic fanfiction, but I also might have destroyed Obi-Wan's life in my story.
Oh.
Like,
Yeah.
What are you saying?
No, nothing. Keep talking.
Okay, okay, there's a storyline where Anakin and Obi-Wan's friendship kind of ends, and Anakin starts to hate Obi-Wan's guts because Obi-Wan lied to him, used him, abused his trust, and then I had one character in my story drop a huge bombshell regarding Anakin's mother.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, remember in episode 2, Anakin keeps telling Obi-Wan about the visions he's had of his mother?
Yes, I remember it.
I came up with this idea, and there was some fanfiction I read called Truth Revealed, Lies Exposed. It's a pretty good story if you haven't seen it before.
No, I haven't read it.
Okay. It points that the Jedi Order may have had a feeling that Anakin's mother was going to die, and they planned to not let Anakin do anything about it because they thought it would make him a better Jedi if he did not have an attachment with his mother.
Oh, yes. This makes some sense.
Yeah, so I wanted to put that into my story, which would be the straw that breaks the camel's back with Anakin and Obi-Wan, where Anakin now just doesn't look at Obi-Wan as a friend, he looks at him as an enemy.
Mm-hmm, I get it.
Yeah, so... And also, when it's revealed of Obi-Wan's deception, it also causes Duchess Satine to lose power on Mandalore. because, you know, Duchess Satine and Obi-Wan had something going on.
Yes, yes. I also remember that particular line where Obi-Wan said that if she gave the word, he would leave the Jedi Order. So it was something serious between them.
Yeah, and Duchess Satine loses power on Mandalore because the people of Mandalorian, they're told to be in this new era of peace and prosperity and forgo their violent ideals from the past Mandalorians. And then they learn that Duchess Satine has something with a guy who has manipulated, who has lied, who has deceived people like Anakin.
Yes, yes.
And this leads to Duchess Satine and Obi-Wan having a fallout with each other. And basically Obi-Wan loses the love of his life. Like, she doesn't get killed off or anything, but she doesn't seem to see Obi-Wan the same way now, and that makes Obi-Wan depressed about that because he still loves Satine, but she doesn't seem to see the same way with him anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So
I get it.
So essentially, Obi-Wan loses his best friend. He loses the galaxy now, the universe now hates his guts since all this deception has been revealed about him, and he loses the love of his life.
Well, this is a heavy one. I mean, I don't think it's quite fair to, like, crumble one character like this. I mean, well, it would be good if you, like, gave something good to him.
Yeah.
If something good happened to him.
Yeah, like later on, I'm thinking of later on Obi-Wan and Anakin would reconcile eventually, and maybe he can reconcile with Duchess Satine, but that won't be for a while, though.
Oh, this would be nice. This one would be nice.
Yeah. And okay, so here's a question. What was your reaction on the day that the Star Wars Legends canon was declared discontinued?
Well, I must say that I wasn't like following Disney and what was happening in Star Wars universe, and I found out about it somewhat recently. I guess 1 year ago or something like this. And I was like, whoa, no, because I loved Revan, I still love him, he's my most loved character, and I cannot imagine him not being canon. Like, this is hard to think about it.
Yeah, when I read about that, I was like, okay, I somewhat get it because you're kind of stuck with this universe and you have no sense of creativity, but at the same time, I was pissed off because I was thinking, like, so essentially what you just said, all that hard work, 40 years of storytelling, to you, Disney, that's just a big licensed fanfiction.
Yes, this is also, like, a hard thing for the authors of the book, of the comics, that this amazing original ideas they came up with, like, for example, Darth Bane, though Darth Bane was restored to canon.
Partially.
In Star Wars. Partially, but he is mentioned in Star Wars Clone Wars. Yoda speaks with his ghost, so he is canon. Like, at least a character of Darth Bane, so maybe also partially Revan, because, you know, there was this scene made where Revan would come back to the canon in Son of Mortis.
Yeah, I remember that. I actually was going to go talk about that. I actually thought that was going to be interesting, but at the same time, I was like, wait. But Revan is in the light side now, or at least in the middle. So what happened in the afterlife that made Revan go back to Darth Revan to talk to the sun?
Well, I think this is something I'm thinking about right now. I haven't thought about it before. So, well, in my opinion, like, Revan's holocron, his Sith teachings survived. Bane was learning from it, and this Revan's ghost might be personification of his teachings that are in his holocron.
Yeah, that could work.
But it can be also somewhat overfetched.
Yeah, like, I was thinking, like, if they really had went with the scene, they could have made a book or a novel explaining that, taking place in the nether realm of the Force, which would have been an interesting location setting.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and so with the whole rumors of the Knights of the Old Republic era coming back into canon, and if they made a Netflix series, would you also want to see a movie about it?
Well, I don't think that a movie would be enough. I mean, Revan's story in this Mandalorian Wars, I would love to see them portrayed in details, not like the Clone Wars in movies were portrayed, like the beginning and the end. I'm happy that there was this TV series Clone Wars because it showed a lot of details and was really interesting. And I would love to see a TV series with actors, not anime, but with real actors that tells the story we all know and love from KOTOR games, like from the beginning of Revan's life, like or of him being a Jedi, a child in the Jedi Order, and then growing up and all of that. Meanwhile, Mandalorians conquering worlds around the Republic and the Wars, Revan's fall, and all of that.
Yeah, that actually sounds like a great way to build things up. But I also thought if they were to bring back Kreia, I don't know what I would think. Would I want to see her in the TV series? But I get the feeling like her voice wouldn't be the same as the Kreia we know in KOTOR 2. So I would think like they should bring back the voice actress to voice act her a bit in the Clone Wars series, like voice dub her in order to match the voice and character mannerisms. And if they made a book about Kreia and how she came to this philosophy she now has regarding hating the Force, I said, can you please make the audiobook be voiced by the actress? Because she's still alive. She's 73 now, but I believe she could do it.
Yes, I mean, the voice actors in KOTOR games were incredible. They have done incredible job. Like, I cannot imagine if it came, if it happened that there would be TV series about KOTOR. I can't imagine like Atris with other voice or Kreia with like someone different dubbing her. It's unimaginable.
Yeah, like it would work if this was a straight up book character because it's just said by voice actors. But in a video game, you have a defined voice, so you would have to replicate it as best you could.
Exactly, because this is like really iconic voice. It's also, I guess, beloved voice of the KOTOR fans.
Yeah. So regarding Kreia, do you find it fascinating that there's a character who has the Force but reveals that she hates it?
Well, this was original because, like, I don't know, all the Sith were trying to pass from the Jedi and conquer the galaxy. All the Jedi were trying to destroy the Sith and bring peace to the galaxy, while Kreia clearly said that she stands for something else, that she hates the Force, she hates this, that it seems to have a will of its own. And I must say that I understand her.
Yeah, it makes...
Like I've included this in my story, where Revan feels the same about the Force. If there was no Force, if there was no Jedi, then there would be like nothing that would stop him from having a happy life with Bastila and all of that.
Yeah, it'd be fascinating regarding, like, if Kreia had succeeded, the galaxy would be very different.
Yes, and I think it would be, like, much happier.
Yeah, except there's just one major problem with that.
Well, go on.
Okay, if Kreia had pretty much succeeded in destroying the Force, how would they be able to combat with the Yuuzhan Vong?
Well, this is kind of a question. But from as far as I'm concerned, even with the Force, they weren't going well against Yuuzhan Vongs.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Here's a question. What do you think of Darth Bane?
I know partially this character. He's like very intriguing. I don't know fully his history. A close friend of mine knows, but I'm not so interested in it. But well, this fact that he finds Revan's holocron and tries to save Revan's teachings is really interesting. It just it proves that Revan was, even if he died as a Jedi, he still was an important character in eyes of the Sith.
Yeah, and here's the thing that might shock you. You want to know why Darth Bane joined the Sith?
Well, go on.
It's because he won a game of sabacc against this Republic officer who was drunk, and the Republic officer attempted to kill him, and while Bane did stop his from being killed, he killed him in self-defense, and 2 Republic officers were witnesses, and they would have lied about it, so Bane decided to run away and join up with the Sith.
Whoa, this is also like, I don't know, I haven't expected that.
Yeah, like, this was such a simple thing that it's so fascinating. Like, if that one event never happened, the galaxy would be much different.
There would be Rule 2, for example.
Yeah, but there is one major problem. I had looked at this theory of what if Darth Bane never existed, and if this certain event never happened, and I gotta be honest, the theory I came up with, it's a very dark future. Much worse off than if Bane did exist.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Anakin Skywalker would not have been born. Yeah.
I don't see why, but...
Well, here's the reason. Here's the reason. Darth Plagueis, remember Darth Plagueis, how it said that he could...
Yes.
Yeah,
yes, he could create life.
Yeah, well, Darth Plagueis attempted to create his own chosen one. However, the Force was pushing back against him, and in response, they retaliated by basically giving Shima Skywalker pregnant to create Anakin. So, if the Rule of 2 never existed, Darth Plagueis would never existed. Therefore, his attempt to create his own chosen one would have never happened, and thus in resulting in the Sith no longer happening, and therefore there would be no need for a chosen one.
Well, yes, this makes sense.
Yeah, and along with that, there'd be no Luke, there'd be no Leia, there'd be no Jason Solo, Anakin Solo, Jaina Solo, and due to the fact the Sith are no longer around, there's no Count Dooku, no Darth Tyrannus, there's no Darth Sidious. There's no need for a clone army since the conflict would have been resolved by the Jedi itself, and there would be no sense of big war. But now everything looks like everything is all right. But here's the thing: there's one thing that can't be prevented, no matter what you do. The Yuuzhan Vong still arrive.
Yes.
And the Republic is in worst shape ever because of all the corruption. And the Yuuzhan Vong, they have a military. The Republic doesn't. So the Republic would have fallen, the Jedi would have been hunted down to point of extinction, and then I remembered, wait, there's also Abeloth, the dark side entity, also known as the mother to the Ones from the Mortis arc, and she probably would have been freed. What? What'd you say? I'm getting some mic difficulties. What were you saying?
Sorry, I've lost the No, I've lost the connection, so I didn't hear anything.
Oh, what part did you miss?
I think I heard it was about Abeloth, and later I didn't hear anything.
Okay, I said, like, in this new Yuuzhan Vong war, Abeloth probably would have been freed and started a war with the Yuuzhan Vong after they had conquered the galaxy. So basically, the galaxy would have been in a state of unable to be repaired beyond fixing after a war with Abeloth and the Yuuzhan Vong, and that is the likely case scenario if Darth Bane never existed.
Yes, but at the same time, I think that if Darth Bane never existed, there still would be Sith. I mean, this Brotherhood of Shadows would still exist, and maybe they wouldn't slaughter each other, and they could, like, I don't know, go to war with the Republic, with the Jedi.
Yeah,
This is also, like, a possible way.
Yeah, but at the same time, they were losing the war by the time Darth Bane became a Sith Lord.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they were still losing the war. Like, they were on a decline and they were fighting amongst themselves. So that's why the Brotherhood of Shadow formed. But they most likely would have lost the war and the Sith would have been wiped out.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, so that's why I came to this conclusion that the Yuuzhan Vong and Abeloth would have been in a constant state of war with each other in this darker future. So if you really think about it, this one Republic officer that got drunk and tried to kill Bane when he was just a normal everyday worker, that saved the galaxy.
Yes, like, it's difficult to, like, I don't know, to understand. It makes sense. This is logical thinking, so I'm not going to argue with it.
It's alright. Yeah, like, it'd be hard to really picture a Sith save the galaxy because he won a game of sabacc. That just sounds so hilarious.
Yes, but at the same time, as we know from the history of our world, hilarious may sometimes have a great impact on the world.
Yeah. So, let's get into our final thoughts. So, the Old Republic era. I know we talked about a lot of other stuff, but mostly this topic focused on the Old Republic era on this podcast. But if they do bring it back into canon, what kind of changes would you want with it?
Let me think about it. Well, I think that I would love to see some different ending of Revan. I mean, this was like real tragedy. He lost against Vitiate. Mitra Surik was stabbed in the back. He never got a chance to meet with Bastila again. So this
or
was
a son.
This is like tragedy.
Yeah.
Yes, and with the child. So I think that they could change it at least a bit. So at least there would be one positive thing in Revan's history.
Yeah, like, I'm hoping they keep a lot of stuff the same on the grounds that that BioWare and Obsidian made something so great that it'd be hard to really imagine it being drastically different.
Yes, so important that they don't change very much, because, well, KOTOR is a masterpiece. It's still considered to be the best Star Wars game, and I won't argue with it because I agree. And well, changing the plot drastically, I guess it would make all the fans like lose faith in Disney.
Yeah, and the one thing I really hope they don't do is Disney-fy all the villains in the Star Wars universe. Like, create just a straight-up bad guy, or make Darth Malak look like an idiot. Yeah, like
that would be interesting.
Yeah, like they kind of are starting to do that with Palpatine a bit, because it's revealed after Order 66 he fired 5 million clone troopers in exchange for stupid soldiers who can't make a shot to save their life.
Yes.
Yeah, so I hope they don't Disney-fy the villains to just for the kids, because it's a kids property. It can't be challenging.
Yeah, so like when I was thinking about that TV series that would have KOTOR plot, then I don't think this would be like for kids, because, for example, a scene where Malak tortures Bastila. Well, Malak is a madman. He tries to get revenge on Revan. He hates him, so he's just going to, like, I don't know, put it on Bastila. So it wouldn't be like a scene for kids.
Yeah.
It couldn't be a scene for kids.
Yeah, like, I hope that, and I also do hope one big change they make is that we get some closure with a lot of the companions we've made in this KOTOR series. Like, we never learned what happened to Jolie Bindo at the end of KOTOR.
Yes, this is also interesting, because Jolie was, like, a very interesting between light, which like the most.
Yeah, and the one thing I really loved about Jolie Bindo is his philosophy on love.
Oh yeah, I've heard it. That human without love is miserable. This is true, and this was also very important in KOTOR. I'm happy that they included it.
Yeah, so, but I hope in this new Old Republic era, if Disney really goes all out with it, that they give us closure with a lot of the companions, like Mission Veo, Zalbar, Jolie Bindo. Like, we got some resolutions with Bastila and Canderous, but we never learned what happened to the other characters, like in KOTOR 2 that we learned. Like, we know what happened to HK-47 because he survives all the way up until A New Hope. And
yes,
yeah, and it'd be fascinating if we got some resolutions with Atten. We get resolutions with Mikal, also known as the Disciple, the Handmaiden. What happened to all these characters? Like, did they die on missions, or did they live out peaceful lives? Like, we got some with the Huntress character, Mira. How she would sacrifice her life protecting a forgotten planet. I really would pay to see that, because that actually sounds like an epic way to go out.
And also, I read a fanfic where a Revan succeeded stopping the Sith, at least for a while, and returns to Coruscant, and all of the companions from KOTOR 2 were just taking part in rebuilding the Jedi Order, like from the ashes. They were making it new. Interesting way to go.
Yeah. So I hope that they do bring back the Old Republic canon. Like, I would kind of be mixed about that to an extent, because it feels more like they're cherry picking off of a seemingly better expanded universe than the one Disney's presenting.
Yes, that's absolutely true.
But I know Disney's going to do whatever they want, because if this makes money, then we're going to put that in.
Exactly.
So the only thing I can hope for is that they do it well and not destroy and not bastardize it into a straight up good versus evil. There needs to be complexities.
Yes, I mean, well, I think that Disney will include KOTOR into canon. They will restore it to canon, because a lot of Star Wars fans love Revan, love KOTOR, and the fact that Disney made a scene in Star Wars Clone Wars where Revan was, it also shows that Disney has Revan somewhere in the back of their minds, and they can somehow reintroduce him to the new canon, which would be great.
Oh yeah, speaking of that, in the Aftermath book, you've heard of that story, the Star Wars Aftermath books by Chuck Wendig?
No.
Well, it was said that Chuck wanted to include HK droids in the first novel of Aftermath.
Oh.
Yeah, so and Disney said, no, we're not going to put that in, but there's a chance that they're saving it for much bigger reasons, since they brought back HK-47 in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes mobile game. Oh, and they put in Darth Nihilus and Sith Assassins in Galaxy of Heroes.
Well, so this would mean that KOTOR is already one step in canon, so
yeah,
very close.
Yeah, we're close to seeing the return of the Old Republic era. I just seriously hope they do it right and not just bastardize it.
Yeah, this is very important. Like all of these philosophies, this not clear showing who is good, who is bad, is also very important to include it. So I hope they won't destroy it.
Yeah. So here's the question: did you have fun on this podcast?
Can you repeat?
Did you have fun on the podcast today?
Well, sorry, but please slower.
Oh, sorry. Did you have fun on the podcast?
Well, I think not. I mean, it was really interesting to take part in it. It was also something new for me. I could have been a little stressed, but it's a good experience.
All right. So this was all the content we could provide today on the second episode of Neo Reality Podcast. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. This was Prodigy99, and feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. And stay tuned for more, everybody.